So this is the Quant review session for Quant period 5, November 2021. And I'll try and facilitate this. We'll ask some questions, see what you guys think. We'll look over some of the data here. I've dropped the links for the agenda and the spreadsheets in the quantifier support channel. So you can jump in and look at these documents yourself if you'd like. And we'll start with intentions and distractions. Intentions facilitate the call and get good feedback that can turn into GitHub issues. Okay, and I'll pass it to Zap.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. Yeah, my intention is, see how this call keeps evolving and support where I can. And I do not have an instruction. I'll pass it to Libby.
I can take notes
Oh,
and
that would be awesome.
yeah, just listen to everyone and don't really have a distraction. I'll pass to Jiwei.
Is the intention distraction during this meeting?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Intention is to first learn about this review process and also receive some feedback for the RAD dashboard. And the distraction is there's people vacuuming in the background. I hope that won't be too noisy. And I'll pass it to Maxwell. Maxwell.
Yeah, thank you. So my intention is to make sure I'm in line. Had to miss the last one, so make sure I'm in line with where I think I'm at for this quant. And distractions are that I'm getting Slack messages for escalations at my day job, so I will do my best not to multitask here.
Great. I'll pass it for you. Let's hear from Bear 100.
Hi, good morning. I'm Renee. This is the first quant review session that I could make because I'm out in APAC and these are normally in the middle of the night for me. But it is before a community growth meeting that I'm leading and still haven't completed a presentation for. So I will only stay for the first half hour so as not to be distracted.
Great.
Pass it to. Sorry, I'm not looking at the view with.
I think Jason still needs to go.
Jason.
Absolutely. So my intentions are, as a new member, just to learn more about what people are doing, listen to the conversations, and understand, where people are communicating about different things. And at the moment, my distractions are there's so much to learn. My head is spinning.
Nice. Welcome to the club. I think the last person, Bunju, did you go?
I did not.
Yeah.
So my intentions is just to learn more about the quantification aspect of the reward system. I've been working with John, who's with Gnosis, and other members of the TEC, Livy, Christopher, NT, to implement a similar reward system on Gnosis DAO. And we're leading towards implementing the full system. And so I think me and John are going to be the first two quantifiers. So I'm here just to learn more about this aspect, to become a quantifier here, to contribute to the TEC, and to learn more. Distractions. I have my day job as an attorney, but I'm going to put my notice in fairly soon, so that should free up a lot of my time. I think someone just entered Nugan. I'll pass it to
Oh
Nugan.
yeah. Go ahead, Nug.
Thanks. Yeah. My intentions just to see how everything goes. I wasn't a quantifier this week, so more like see what insights we had and see where we can help. And distractions. It's a bit rainy outside. Probably a bit stormy, but apart from that, everything's fine. And I don't know who went already. I'll pass to Maxwell.
Oh,
I did go already.
Daya Gui just joined, and I noticed you jumped in a little bit late. This is the quant review session, so we'll be looking over some data from the latest praise round, and so you're welcome to just sit in and glean what you can. But I'll let you go for if you have any intentions or distractions.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sorry to be late. Well, I just here to help. I would like to help to quantify the price and also well distractions right now. No, I don't have any. I think.
Excellent. Cool. Let's just get right into it then. PSA, this will be the regular scheduled time for all future quant review sessions, unless, who knows, another time zone change and we got to redo it. But tentatively, this is the time we're going to be doing it every week from now on, so no more doodle polls and all that madness. So I just want to go around and maybe quickly see how everyone felt with their quant, how comfortable it was for you. And I'll start off with Bear 100. If you are quantifying. If not, feel free to pass. Great. Boonju, were you in there? I'll just get the list, actually.
No, I'm not a quantifier yet.
Okay, I think definitely Zeptimus was a quantifier.
Yeah, and actually, like this last one, it was pretty harder because I was feeling pressure of time. But yeah, overall, I keep saying the same. Like the dashboard is it's awesome, and it makes things so smooth. And like before we getting like 3 hours for quantifying price, now it's like, yeah, you can do it in an hour and a half maximum. It's awesome. No one said he didn't watch the quantifier, so I don't know who to pass it. But
Lee?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm missing the questions before. I was looking at a page to see what to talk about. This is probably my third quant round, and it just keeps getting easier and easier because I think I'm recognizing my own patterns. I've looked for information. I've also started. I now look at my list and I start with all the ones and twos and get them out of the way, so that all I'm left with are the 89s or the lists that are over 40, because I find that they tend to have duplicates, and a lot of people saying the same information. I feel like I'm still kind of struggling how to quantify stewarding and working group leads, because people as leaders are highly visible and then getting praised for the same work, leading a group or stewarding the TEC by many people every week. Yeah, I'm like, should that be really high? Should it be middle? Or unless it's more specific? Because the praise system is obviously rewarding people, but I would have also thought that our leaders are rewarded in addition to this. So I'm wondering, like, we've used a source cred model, right? And anyone that was on a fixed wage could could provide feedback but then wasn't eligible for the additional funding. And I thought that was quite good because the people that are getting paid tend to be in the leadership roles and also the most visible, and by being the most visible, therefore the most likely to be praised. That's my thinking.
Cool.
I also,
That's go ahead, Lee.
I guess I'm also biased in favour of builders. Like I do tend to reward higher building over community. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, it's all good. I would say, yeah, developers are doing very, very valuable work, and I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. Who else we got in there? I know Livia, you're quantifying as well.
Yeah. I think for me, yeah, I had a similar difficulty to lead to this more general praises. And I'm starting to just try to identify categories. And I think there was some that were still very similar. And I'm thinking if it's because during the community call, there is a pattern that like when we're saying praise out loud, it comes in a certain cadence. And then people who are learning to praise through listening to this verbal praise also end up reproducing that in the chat. But I feel like you can see the difference of like the most detailed praises are usually the ones that are written instead of verbally transcribed. And the quantification was the duplicates was still annoying a little bit, but I know that's been worked on. And there was that add of a feature that you can scroll while you're putting the duplicate number, so that was helpful. And is there anybody missing who quantified N2?
Yeah, thanks.
Oh yes.
So
Thanks. Go ahead.
it was this round was way easier for me. I personally like that I can now see the person who I'm quantifying. I think that gives a bit of context on who's making what on the community. Um, I also changed the way I quantify. I'm now not thinking as much about the number. I'm sort of trying to be a bit loose on the way I quantify praise. I don't really have anything to complain. Maybe um, I guess the education about how to praise some praises were a bit confusing, and the usual lots of duplicates and that, but was pretty good overall.
Great. Let's keep plowing through. Maxwell.
Yeah, felt really good. Keeps getting better, as a few have said already. I will say seeing the names definitely helps with the generalized praise. Because when they get general praise, you can go see what they're involved with, and so that helps a little bit. But it's still definitely hard to quantify general praise. So um, I don't know if there's a solution to that, but and then yeah, duplicates are definitely better. It helps to be able to scroll. Um, Feature request, if instead of just the number, if you can like filter those numbers on a keyword, that would make it trivial for duplicates, I think. Uh, Instead of just the number, because a lot of times the duplicates all have the same keywords. So being able to filter on the text and not just the number would be awesome. Other than that, I think Nugan said he wasn't Quant this week. So
We
anyone
got
Mm-hmm.
else?
Z-Way.
Yeah, this is my first time quantifier, and it was not as difficult as I thought. I think the overall process is pretty smooth. I need to go back to the rules of quantification and also sometimes checking the chat history in the quantifier support channel for some cases I'm not sure. One thing I was not sure is some praise about not only the contribution in TEC but also outside of TEC. Like I was not sure if that's a thing being mentioned before, like for contributions outside of TEC, that's something we need to take into account or not. So that's one thing. And yeah, duplicate is a big thing. I was envisioning if it's possible to already group the praise with the keywords like hosting party. Maybe we can already sort the praise by those keywords to easily see the duplications. That's it.
Nice. Cool. Let's. I was trying to pull up the issue there because I've been hearing a lot about the duplicates, and so I was trying to work on it. But let's keep moving down this agenda, and so justly so, talking about duplicates. I know a lot of you have already mentioned them here in the first question, but if anybody wants to speak up about something that hasn't already been mentioned around duplicates, please do so.
I'll just reiterate, it has gotten a lot better. Just the small improvements that have happened over the past few weeks have made it better. So I know that it's a common topic, but we appreciate what has been done.
I had and I'm sure other people experienced this, but I had a few situations where I was trying to say something was a duplicate, and I was told that comment was not available for duplicate praise. Is there a reason for that? Is it a glitch? I thought maybe it was because it wasn't from the
I think it's a bug.
same person. Oh, okay.
It's a bug, and it's definitely been reported. Somewhere in here, I put it in a couple weeks ago. So you're not alone. And so, yeah, I'm trying to find it somewhere here. But yeah, it's definitely a bug. You're not doing anything wrong to my knowledge.
Okay,
I
so
ran
for
into
the couple that happened to me and I couldn't mark it as duplicate, I ended up giving it like a 1 so that it would clear my list.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that happened to me, and what I did was I just used that one as the one I was duplicating.
Yeah, you can
so instead of
reverse it.
marking the other, I just reversed it and marked the original one as a duplicate of the one that I was having an issue with.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if you're still running into issues, a quick fix is the way that marking duplicates work is the current modifier is 10%, so that duplicate will get 10% of the original praise's value. So if you mark it as 21, the original praise, every duplicate will be worth 2. And so it's like if you're really hitting a bug, you can kind of like jump the system by just doing that quickly. Like your example of marking it as a 1 is probably pretty accurate in most situations. Cool. Let's keep rolling because I want to go ahead.
Conceptual question about duplicate. So sometimes it's a subset of other praise. So one praise says thanks for hosting the party, and another one says thanks for hosting the party and help me as a new person. Like, do that consider as duplicate because it's the same event but like have a bit different impact?
That's definitely something that needs to be worked on in praise etiquette, but I would go by quantifying the part that hasn't been mentioned yet and giving that a regular score.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could all keep that in mind to whenever we're going to praise, to just praise one action at a time, because then that doesn't happen. And also
It's
there's something
Oh, it sounds like to me it's the same action of hosting the party, but have a different impact because this person is a new person and feel extremely welcomed, versus other people entering the party but not as a new member might not feel that part of it.
Yeah. So maybe consider just quantifying the new information or the different perspective they're offering.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I would like to keep trucking through this because I'd like to give us lots of time to look at the data.
Yeah.
Yes, does anyone have a last comment?
Yeah, just on the duplicates, I think also it changes a lot in catching some of them on the experience of on how long people are in the TC or how aware they are, because there are some duplicates that have a totally different wording but that relate to the same thing, and then someone that was in that event, for example, can know that both things were duplicate. I don't know if there's a way to solve that or if we just need to. That's just the thing.
Great. Next question. Were you able to find enough context to adequately quantify praise? And I know, Lee, you said that you were getting a bit more resourceful in finding information. Does anyone else have any comments to add to this? Anyone whose first time it was, like Ziwei, did you find information all right to like be able to understand what's going on, or?
I asked Nugget something. There's some support.
That's cool. I added some new things to the quantifying doc, and so if you guys ever get stuck, there are two great resources for general token engineering common things, and that is our handbook. So if you're looking for like terminology that you don't understand or something like that, like it's all in here with tons of links. And so it's like, wow, Nate and a bunch of others put serious work into this handbook. And so this is a great resource. And the second one is the forum, obviously. So this is like where you can see all of the hot topics from basically the whole history of the DAO or the commons. And so these are two great places if you get stuck on like, what the heck's the CCD? Like, what's this rage quit business? What's a hatch? You can just look it up by keyword and you'll probably get enough information.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of work went into this. So definitely use the handbook. I recommend it. Any questions about this one? Finding enough context to quantify praise? Okay. Was having real names, not pseudonyms, easier or more enjoyable to quantify? And I'll just go around with this one. I'll start with Maxwell.
Yeah, definitely easier.
Mm-hmm. And Livy?
Yeah, I'm a supporter.
Zap?
Sorry, what's the question?
Did you like having the pseudonyms, or
Yeah,
did you?
yeah, it was awesome. Like it was so easy to quantify. Like when you know what's the person doing it, like it was quite so easier.
Mm-hmm. And Lee? She dropped.
Oh, sorry, I was just
Nice.
trying to find my mute button. Sorry, distracted by the time and a pending meeting.
Yeah. Just if you found it easier to have the real names
With
instead
or
of the
without.
pseudonyms?
Yeah, no comment on that. It didn't really make any difference to me. It's good to know who the people
Yeah.
are, but names are not something that I look at. I just read the quant. I just block everything else out.
Okay. And Z-Way?
Yeah, no.
Oh, what? No. Enti?
Yeah, I think having the names influences your decisions when quantifying, and probably in a good way. Like you get more context, especially on long set of phrases. Like you sort of after a couple of phrases, you sort of get a sense of the the role of that person with tech. I think it makes it a bit easier.
Cool. Great. Z-Way, I saw your back. I'll let you go.
I would just say not much impact on me. This is my first time.
Yeah, you felt like you're still too new to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I mean, it sounds like overall it had a really big positive impact, and so I think we'll just keep going with real names. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts.
Oh, I haven't started quantifying yet, but a thought that came to mind is I think over time, once the quantifiers become more familiar with these people, there's the potential of inherent bias that we're not even aware of, and I don't even know how we would measure. So I'm not saying that's a problem now, but it may be a potential problem down the road.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we thought to remove the names, but then the cost of doing that felt bigger than the benefit, because the cost was the lack of information that you had about particular praises. So sometimes there's people that like a praise that involves a lot of people, and then you're quantifying them separately. And by knowing who it was, sometimes you have information about what contribution that person gave to that specific thing, and that someone else might have given out less, and then there are different values. And also you get to be informed about what people were doing.
Oh, absolutely. I understand the benefits. Maybe there's a best of both worlds solution if and when it becomes a problem. Just starting a discussion. That's all.
Something to think about.
Yeah,
How do
maybe if you
how do we even know when it becomes a problem? What's the metric to follow?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was gonna say maybe it starts off as, you have like the hidden or whatever, right? You have a little it's like a password, right? And then you have the little button you can click to unhide it so that you eliminate, the unconscious bias of knowing who it is. But then if you need to know who it is for more information, you can hit the little, view button and see who it was. I don't know, something a
I like that
potential
idea.
future feature.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Maybe a
Cool.
way to check
Go
for
ahead, Nug.
this would be to take a look at the cases of praise where several people will praise for the same thing. And if we start seeing that certain people get more points for the same praise consistently, that could reveal a bias because they're more popular than others. Just as an idea.
Cool.
Can you say that again, Nugget?
Yeah, just imagine somebody writes a praise for something to mentioning three different people, and then the quantifiers, which just get the singled out praise for each person, consistently rate one of those three higher than the rest for the same praise. That would reveal that there's a bias towards that person because they are more popular or whatever. That's like my idea.
Oh, okay. So just to have that in the analysis. That's cool.
Okay.
I had a question about what people were, what additional types of information having the name led them to. So how would you categorize that information? And are those things like roles or badges or achievements, things that they've achieved in the ecosystem that would change how you perceived who they were and what their contributions could mean?
For me, speaking for myself, that having the name helped when the praise was unclear or ambiguous. Knowing the name made it so I could do more, do a little more research into it. Is really the biggest help.
Great. Yeah, we can look at that stuff. I'd like to maybe after this have some clear issues that we could use with some of Nuggin's suggestions. And
I'm
Bonjour's.
highlighting in,
Hello?
I'm highlighting in yellow the
Nice.
suggestions that could become issues.
Wonderful. Okay. How does everyone think we could improve praise etiquette? The praise etiquette being how people write down their praise to make our lives easier in the quantification. What were some problems you saw in the praise etiquette that made it hard to quantify?
Things like good vibes, thanks for your passion, that kind of thing. It doesn't involve an actual action.
A great point, because I think this is part of like decolonizing our minds of like what a contribution is. Someone bringing passion or bringing something that is abstract could contribute a lot of value to the space.
I think that's a really great point. And it's like, it would be cool if they said why they felt like this contribution. Like, Livia gave such a great talk, and because of that, I really enjoy your high vibes,
Yeah, like in the communication, it would be nice if the action is pointed out clearly, or simple things like giving encouraging feedbacks after I say things, or I don't know, giving me a chance to speak when I'm being shy, things like that. Can be more clear what is this good vibe, and then that's something actually really helpful for other people to understand what did I do that actually made you feel good. So that's more effective communication in my mind.
That's a good point.
And I'm reading this as also, how can we help? Because I think we have praise etiquette, but it's also communicating the praise etiquette. I'm pretty sure in Discord bots you can have you can describe a little bit more on the commands. So when someone uses the praise command, you can add a little more context there. Reminders if we're seeing issues, right? Hey, reminder, don't use more than one topic in your praise, right? More than one person's fine, but more than one topic is hard. Just adding some like tooltips to the praise bot itself may help with some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, the praise bot is fresh, so I think there's definitely a lot of ideas we can capture to make it better and more informative. Any other insights about praise etiquette? Things that we could do to make it better to quantify?
I was just thinking maybe it's a bad idea, and it is. But what
Say
about
it's
if?
that. Tell me.
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe like we check out the praise, and when someone is praising something like it's not very explicative, like we could say like, hey, what if you say it this way? It would help us like to quantifiers to quantify it better, and then if we do it like for a time, like the culture of people could change. But I'm not so sure like if we should. Yeah, I don't know about the resources spending on that, but I think that would be one way.
I'll second that. Adding a request more info or feedback button to praise for quantifiers who see it. Obviously, that works much better with fresh praise, right? When we're going back and doing praise that's 6 months old, that's difficult. But for as we catch up, right? If we see praise that needs more feedback, a way to tell the praiser that more feedback was needed, even if it doesn't impact the existing quant, but even if it's just feedback on that praise that they get for next time, I think could help. That idea.
I'm thinking an easy way also to improve praising would be maybe having a chat with the people that praise the most. Maybe Manu and Ivy and probably all the people that's sort of more frequent, older on the TC. Because at the end of the day, everyone else looks up to the praise channel to see how to quantify, how to praise, and they some of them aren't always as specific, and so if they improve the praising, everyone else will as well this time, and that's just having a conversation.
That's great. One thing we want to make sure is that we don't make praising onerous or difficult, and we don't want to use up contributors' bandwidth. It shouldn't feel hard or like intimidating to praise, and so that's just something to think about when we we want to keep it clear, but don't make it seem like it's hard. Any last comments on praise etiquette before we jump into some data? Nice. Now, I haven't really figured out how we're going to flow into this, but I have the RAD dashboard running, and I see we have both Z-Way and Nuggin, and I can go through this and look through it and explain it to you, or I feel like if maybe either of you two want to look at the data if you have already, or help me make heads or tails of this.
Yeah, so basically the part that's most interesting starts where you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this basically just shows us how many people or how many praise instances were valued at different points. So we had very little 144. We had 114. That's a bit weird. Oh, because of the percentages, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there we can just see more or less how much each praise value was used.
Yeah, why is that 14 there? That's weird.
Yeah, I guess it's somebody. It's a duplicate thing. So somebody put like 80 or something, and then a duplicate of that, and then the percentage ended up being 14. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you can see it's like everything's kind of a little bit more proportionate, right? Very few 144s, 2089s, and then it kind of like slowly goes up, but then 5 seems to be the favorite apart from 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I'm a bit shy on this one, but yeah, you can see here this is like basically the share percentages of each praise receiver Nuggin, I'm assuming.
Exactly. It's just ordered from most praise to least praise.
I'm ashamed. I destroyed Livia, Griff. It kind of makes me think of like what was going on during November that I would have received so much praise.
That was the dashboard.
Yeah, because if we think last month, it was like Juan was up there because he was doing the gravity training.
Yeah, that's so cute. Like each one's month to shine.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Anyone have any comments about either of these, like rating distributions or the reward distributions?
No, I think it's funny that it always looks the same. Like the names change, but the shape stays exactly the same each month.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen this before, but I But I would think if the shape's staying the same, it shows that it's working, right? That it is drawing out the things that matter the most each month. I like the graph above that shows kind of that average, like the higher, like that 5 and 3s and 8s are fairly popular. That just makes me feel like I'm working in the right range. I've never given 144 or an 89 or a 55, and maybe I'm being too stingy.
You seem to be running in the average range, though, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind there, which we haven't accounted for and we should actually change now that I think about it, is that probably a lot of the ones are because they are duplicates. It's the same issue as with 14. Probably it's just somebody who gave a 13 and it got rounded to 1.
Yes,
So-
and meeting attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
I give solid 1s all the time to meeting attendance, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
them. Gentlemen, this has been great, and normally I'm not leading the community call coming up in 15 minutes, so this time really works for me, and in future I won't be so distracted, but I do need to bow out now just to make sure I've got my presentation ready for the top of the hour. Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying just this little opportunity to be a part of the TEC, so I'll be back.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks for joining.
As you were looking through this data, I had a question that came up.
Mm.
The rating distribution, so you would see the various rating factors. How has that changed as you've looked at different groups of data? Has that distribution been almost the same, or has that evolved over time?
We definitely had a lot more 144s.
Okay.
People weren't
So-
quite getting what the scope should be, and so, but then everything's kind of homogenized with time.
Okay, and that would be familiar to me from like an agile pointing perspective. Teams generally fall into a rhythm as they see how things kind of work out over time and create a norm around it. And I just wanted to know that you see the same exact behavior I've seen in this type of distribution before. So that I just asked the question because I hadn't seen anybody mention it.
Yeah, and we've been improving our education, so yeah, that helps.
Yeah, I think that's especially clear in the graph a bit below, where we show each single now a bit more.
I have it here actually.
Oh.
The outliers? Or
No,
further
not the
down?
outliers. Yeah, one more.
Scatter.
More.
Oh.
No, where is it? Next one. There, yeah, the mean praise score here. That one. No, one
Mean
below.
praise score. Okay.
Yeah, because it's getting a lot more, like you said, homogeneous. It's being this. It's at the first quants that we had people which used a lot of different values, like the whole chart, and now it's getting a lot more stable, with some outliers from time to time. I think that's where you can see most of the
Hold
education
on.
working.
What are we looking at here? I can see we've got on the
this,
Y.
This
Go ahead.
tracks each single quantifier of that round,
Mm-hmm.
and just shows in what range they tended to quantify the most.
Mm.
So
Okay.
most of the quants by I can't read it like Miss G's
Yeah.
were between 34 and 8, with some
Mm-hmm.
more extreme outliers.
Mm-hmm. And so you can see by the line and by the dots and by like the rectangles,
Yes.
they represent different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more like yeah, exactly.
It's the statistical distribution of their score.
Yes.
Over the possible range, right?
Yeah, it's yes.
Is this the value people? Yeah.
Yeah, the diagram here might not be familiar for people. Is this? It's a similar method to is it like stock candles almost, kind of showing where, especially if you're looking at different symbols, because it almost looks like they're sliders, like you'd be able to touch them, but that's not actually what they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I mostly understand this.
Is this the value of how much people gave quantifying or how much they were quantified?
how much they gave. It's the quantifiers ratings.
These are all the quantifiers for this round on the x-axis.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, and so this isn't quite set up yet since we don't have source
The
cred data.
addresses and the addresses are missing. So the whole all the yellow points are just missing for now.
Okay, cool. Right, and then if we look at this, this is the diagram of the praise giver to praise receiver. Or this is praise flows, okay. Why aren't there names here?
Yeah, it's because you have to scroll
I have to scroll.
horizontally.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Weird.
That
Okay.
shouldn't happen.
Let's not get stuck on it. I want to look at some of this data, and so this to me will help us figure out some things that maybe we need to explain more or that need some more work. I'm looking at this here, and you can see we've got some much bigger spreads than we had last round. And so you can see a lot of this, for example, comes from some new quantifiers, like Miss Jean as well. Lots of 144s, like in the beginning there for logistics, coming to Colombia, adventure buddies, coming down to Costa Rica. And I don't know if these seem like things that should be the highest possible contribution someone can make. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
mean that's a good example there about context. There is this one. I think it's for the logistics of this event in Barranquilla. As it is, we don't know if it gave a presentation about token engineering or just organized a party. So how do you value that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's strange also that Griff gave it a 0, and maybe because he knows what
Griff
it was.
didn't finishes.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. That's why it's a 0, because he didn't dismiss it or duplicate it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, we say we don't have enough context, but then it was enough for somebody to give it the highest possible score. So maybe that's a lapse in our education.
Yeah, possibly.
I think the context maybe is whether or not it was for PEC or not, right? If it was, hey, they traveled halfway around the world to do this big event for TEC, that's a pretty big effort. Investment, effort, all that good stuff. If it was, if it wasn't for TEC or if it was only partially for TEC, and it was primarily for leisure and they were going anywhere for whatever the case was, right? That's obviously a different story. So maybe that's the context that's missing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. If you guys want, feel free to jump in the sheet as well. Like if you find anything that stands out to you in this. So yeah, there's a couple different things we need to work on there. What else could we have?
Do we have that user, Miss Jeannie, here? I don't see. I don't know if someone's Discord
No.
name is not the same. Because if you just
No,
spread,
I know who
right?
she
If you
is.
sort by that one,
She's not here.
yeah, it's like 80% of them.
But I know. I'm like, who should I talk to after this? Yeah. But yeah, so we can see that the highest spread is coming from mostly one user. 89, 89, 89. A couple from myself. What do you guys think is like an acceptable spread? Because this just keeps going down and down and down. Is there an acceptable spread?
I wouldn't say it's about an acceptable spread. I think the challenge is the education.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this case, if we keep onboarding new people that continue to have this behavior, how can we create awareness for this without having to talk one-on-one? Like this has to be present in some type of onboarding somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be really helpful when I'm the first time doing quantification, and there's examples of this kind of attending a meeting, the usual score, hosting a meeting, the usual score. That kind of examples would really help. And it could be a range. It's not like an official number.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we can start grouping by keyword, and then take
Yeah.
like from there you can see in the dashboard here we could see some like averages. And so we could do praise rating distribution and then add like a keyword.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because, yeah, I think that's a lot more reliable than the reward board or somebody just like saying what the average score should be. But it's cool that we have about 6 months of data now that we can look at.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago, right? Having, as you onboard new quantifiers, asking them to either attend one of these calls or watch a recording of one of these calls, I think would, right? Because I was that person 3 weeks ago, right? That had all the high 144s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, it was just an education. The first one of these calls I went on, it was abundantly clear, right? Why that didn't work. So I get that not everyone can attend live, but you know, as part of the onboarding process, just ask them to watch a recording of one of these calls. I think would go a
Yeah.
long way towards that.
I mean, these calls are finally actually getting to be useful. So I think beginning we had a lot of trouble figuring out the format, but I totally agree now, Maxwell. Go ahead.
I think also someone mentioned before, give them a mock quantification trial, like quantify 5 questions, 5 praises, and see how far are you from the average.
A mock quantification trial?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Could you possibly have like a tutorial with a quantifier they can sign in with their wallet, and then they have like little mini class, and then
Yeah.
after they pass, they can start quantifying?
Sure.
Yeah, we thought to add something like that to the onboarding journey. The only thing I feel a little bit cautious about teaching people through the averages is like it's also a value that people have different perspectives on how valuable something is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if we want something to be totally homogeneous.
Yeah, I would
Otherwise,
say not only show the average, but show like average, median, or your value is within 60 percentage, that kind of thing. So give a range, or even a full distribution, not only one value,
yeah,
to
maybe there could
acknowledge this
be two.
diversity.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
Yeah.
there could be a few praises for people to compare and then create their own method of like, oh, how much would you value this in comparison to this?
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, the message is like, here's the data, but use your discretion. Because people who get stuck, they're like, well, I have no point of reference for this. So, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of the same issue we had when we did the comments dashboard at the beginning. Like we need to give some kind of reference, even if people are encouraged to value the stuff in their own way or design the stuff in their own way. Something to latch on is necessary, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. If the number of quantifiers support it, right? As you get more quantifiers and as we catch up, I actually really like that idea.
But I mean, we're taking an average anyway, so we're taking a greater average because there's more participants, and so like it feels kind of weird, like removing somebody's score that they quantified.
So I hear that. I'll the counterpoint to that is let's say you had 5 or 6, right? It eliminates the case where you have a new quantifier who is they're way high or way low on something, right? Because those are the scores that you're eliminating. And if they're closer, if they're not super outliers, then it's not really affecting the average anyway. But I definitely hear, right? It's potentially invalidating someone's work.
Okay, I want to go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
One more
it feels
thought.
like Olympics, like gymnastics or snowboarding, air trick, where you do need to remove the highest or lowest, and ideally, because all the quantifiers are equally acknowledged, then it's not always one person being removed. And when that happens, when it's only one person always being removed, then it's not less about this praise, but more about this quantifier. Then probably some communication with the quantifier is needed before we just say you don't know what you're doing. Maybe they have some reasons. So
Great.
we gotta distinguish is the quantifier or it's just this praise that has some bigger spread.
We are at the top of the hour, so we went a little bit tangential a couple times, and that's okay. And so there's 2 things that I wanted to get from everybody here, and we might have to do it async. But if you have any suggestions to the praise system and suggestions to the RAD dashboard, if you could drop them in here. There's also another space for general comments, and so please, anything that we didn't capture in this meeting, write it in there, add it to the notes, and thank you very much for joining the review session.
How do we get access to that Google Doc?
It is in the quantifier support channel, and you should have edit access.
Can we get some of these common links pinned there? I saw there's one pin, but it's back from like September last year. But like these notes and stuff like that, that would be awesome if they could just get pinned there.
Yeah, sure, we can update some of the pin links. No problem.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mitch. Thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
everyone.
Mitch. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.